Morning, Coach. We'll get started with Paul and then Tim.
Hey, Jim. Good morning.
Morning.
I'm sure you've looked at that 3rd and 8 play quite a few times since Sunday night. Uh, Doug has praised Ben for his recognition skills at noticing the mismatch and checking to it. But from your standpoint, I mean, should a timeout have been called? Should Rodney have shaded closer to that side? Should Gary have backed up more? What should have happened on that play?
Well, backing up isn't in our lexicon when it comes to that situation. We're trying to hold them out of field goal range. It's a 2-point game. We had just missed that field goal, and we got a chance to get the ball at midfield, get them stopped, maybe force them to do a long field goal of their own. We're trying to stop the first down there. And, we had injury at corner, trying to protect the corners a little bit more at that point, and we put the stress on the inside players, which was different than what we had been doing in that situation. What we had called was good against what they had called, but Ben recognized it. It's probably inside of the 15 seconds for being able to change the call. I think that it just turns into every defense has a strength, and they also have spots that that aren't as strong. Ben went to the spot right there. They made the play. But as far as being aggressive, we're trying to stop the first down right there. And that's what Nate's trying to do. So he sits down on that route because that's where the sticks are, and he goes over the top. It's similar to a corner giving up a double move. There's probably different things we can do, but what that does is that puts the stress on other people in the defense. You blitz, you put the pressure on the corners, you play man, you have pick problems, and you put the pressure on those guys. There's no magic answer for any of those situations. But I think the bottom line is we're playing aggressive. We're trying to keep them out of field goal range right there. They made us pay for that aggressiveness.
Tim and then Zach.
Jim, you guys have the least amount of resources in the NFL committed to the linebacker position this year. And you've seen guys like Jordan Hicks, Camus, LJ Fort come and go during your time. Why is the linebacker position not a priority? Is that an organizational thing? Is that part of your philosophy? What's behind that?
No, every position is a priority for us. Every position is important on the field, so I don't, and I disagree that we haven't spent resources on it. Like you mentioned, some of those guys we've had, we pay free agent money to guys like Nigel. This year we put some draft picks in there. We have the guys that we have. We're going to work hard to put those guys in good position. But I don't think from anyone's standpoint it's not a priority for us.
Zach and then Jeff.
Hey, Jim, as far as those mixed direction runs, the wide receivers have the most rushing yards, rushing attempts, and rushing touchdowns against your defense in the league. Why do you think that is, and what needs to be done to fix that?
Well, the misdirection stuff was more a problem going back to the Rams game. Since then, I think our guys have really done a good job of narrowing our focus. You look at this game, you can't take any one play away. I'd love to take that last 3rd and 7 away. You can't do it. I'd love to take the 58-yard reverse away. Can't do it. But if you do, you're talking about holding the team to about 2.7 yards a carry. And that's a good running team. Running backs that are averaging 5.7, 5.8 yards a carry. So I thought our guys did a good job of those misdirection things and those distraction things. Really turned into one play. We got to get that play tackled for, 8, 10-yard gain, and then live to fight the next down, as opposed to, giving up the sort of the backbreaker in that situation when you give up that long play. We're known as a team that stops the run. Teams are attacking the run a little bit different, trying to get on the perimeter. But I think a lot of that stuff really came from the Rams game, really getting on the edge. This game, and again, you can't take one play away, but if you make that 58-yard or whatever, 8 yards or 10 yards, the other plays really weren't backbreakers. They were gaining, first down and 2 yards to gain, or, a play in the red zone where they gain, 2 yards and you're contesting it. I think it's sort of life in the NFL right now. Everybody's doing the same kind of things. A couple years ago, it was only maybe 1 or 2 teams that were using a lot of the jet motions and jet sweeps and things like that. It puts more pressure on your corners to tackle. It puts more pressure on your nickels to tackle. And, it turns it into sort of a responsibility option type game, because everybody has to do their job. If they hand the ball inside, everybody needs to be in those gaps. You can't overplay for a jet sweep. If you do, you're going to get gashed inside. If you overplay inside and nobody takes the outside, you can give up plays out there. So it just puts more emphasis on, 11 guys doing their job and making the tackles that come to them.
Jeff and then Dave.
Jim, you mentioned about the resources devoted to linebacker. Well, the Nigel extension was 2 off seasons ago, and the 2 draft picks, they're not playing on defense at all, pretty much at all this season. So why wasn't there enough resources allocated towards linebackers who are actually playing this year?
Well, I'll leave team building stuff and roster management and stuff to Doug and Howie. So I really can't answer your question right there. I'm confident in the guys we have. We're getting the young guys up to speed. I think our emphasis on 11 guys playing better, not any one position.
Go ahead, Dave, and then John McMullen.
About those young linebackers, though, Jim, we haven't seen them obviously much since training camp. Sean got a few snaps on Sunday. How have they played, and how close to they are maybe having a role in the defense?
Yeah, they're all making progress. They're physically talented, and when we can work them in, we'll work them in when it makes sense to the 11 guys on defense. We're in the business of trying to do whatever we can to win games and doing what we think is best to win games. And when it's time for those guys, that we think it's best for us to win games with them on the field, we'll do it.
John and then Kristen.
Hey, Jim. Third downs. Obviously, you came in top 10 in the league, I think 6th overall. Not a lot of success against the Steelers. Was there, and I think Ben didn't have an incompletion on third downs. Was there any theme to that?
Yeah, he was on fire. You've run against quarterbacks like that. I think it was a game last year. Breeze went like 29 for 30 or something. I think it was Indianapolis. There's some times where a quarterback gets hot, and it just puts more emphasis on you have to take advantage of the times that you have. We missed a tackle on a 3rd down and 5. We got a chance to get off the field. We jump off sides on a 3rd and 9, and it makes it a 3rd and 5, which is really, really hard to stop. He was going to the right spots. He was making accurate throws. And when that happens, when you get a guy we blitzed. He wasn't letting the blitz get him. He was going to throw to the shallow cross, pick up a first down on that. When that happens, it just puts more emphasis on you as a defense that you got to play mistake-free football. And whether it's a call by me or whether it's a penalty, we didn't have any mental errors in this game, but whether it's a physical error like a missed tackle or a penalty, a mental lapse when it comes to a jumping off sides, or a physical mistake like a DPI, all of those give a hot quarterback a second opportunity. And, sometimes you can go out and hold a quarterback to 20% on 3rd down and things like that. When he's hot like that, you got to scrap to get 50%. And if you don't scrap and you don't, if you make mistakes, it's going to be 75% or whatever it was in that game. It just puts more of an emphasis on us and playing mistake-free football. And, I think that there was too many opportunities for him to make another play.
Kristen and then Martin.
Hey, Jim, going back to the linebacking core for a second. In past years, we've seen Nigel Bradham be, the vocal leader for that group. I'm curious through 5 weeks, who you've seen step up and fill that needed leadership role.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of different people take vocal roles, and it's changed as it went. And I hate to go too much into our past, but when Nigel came, Jordan Hicks was sort of that guy for us, and then Jordan got hurt, and Nigel, took over that role when Jordan was out. We've had a lot of different players at a lot of different positions, take leadership and take roles. I think that if you ask the guys on the defense, I think we're getting good leadership out of that position.
Go ahead, Martin, and then Chris.
Hey, Jim, if I could ask you about the Ravens, what kind of challenges does Lamar Jackson present? And also, they seem to be another team that goes pretty strongly with their tight ends in Andrews and Nick Boyle. I was wondering if you can kind of talk about that as well. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson's probably the most dangerous player in the league, because there are times you can do everything right on defense and can't catch him, or he can throw a ball sidearm underneath of a free rusher and complete a pass. I think that you got to have a resilient attitude when you play him, and that a playmaker like him is going to make some plays. You just have to limit his big plays, and you have to stay resilient. You can't, you sort of can't hang your hat if he ends up making a play. They're a strong running team, not just with Lamar Jackson, but with Mark Ingram, with the rookie that's back. All their running backs are good, powerful running backs. They're a power running team, strong offensive line. And it's not just the tight ends. I mean, they got wide receivers that make big plays for them. Again, it's another offense. You try too hard to take one thing away. You devote too many resources to, stopping Lamar Jackson's feet. There's plenty of opportunities in the pass game, or there's plenty of opportunities to hand the ball to someone else. You see teams overplay option and get gashed up the middle, or you see teams, play too tough up the middle and they're vulnerable to option. A little bit like some of the things we just talked about with Pittsburgh, with the jet motions and things like that. Option football stuff that they do with quarterback runs just puts emphasis on all 11 guys. You have to play responsibility football. You have to make the plays to come to you, and you got to get guys on the ground tackling. It puts emphasis on all those things.
Chris, and then Les.
And piggybacking off what Martin asked, when it comes to using a spy on Lamar Jackson, how do you balance that versus the resources that you have on your defense, and how do you limit that him from making big plays?
Yeah, that's something a lot of people do. We've done it in the past against different quarterbacks. We'll see what we get to with Sunday with different schemes. There's a lot of ways to try to battle scrambling quarterbacks or guys with legs, and you can blitz, you can play visual zone where you have a lot of eyes on him. You can play man with spies. There's a lot of different ways to be able to handle that. I don't want to give too much of what we would do personnel-wise when it comes to Sunday, but that's certainly a thing. Is his run keepers on first and second down, and then scrambling to keep plays alive. I think that's a little bit underestimated with Lamar Jackson. Everybody talks about him scrambling. A lot of times on third down, he's more just buying time. He's using his arm. He's finding guys that are wide open because the stress it puts on the defense with him buying time back there. He certainly can run and gain yards and gain first downs. But I think you're seeing a little bit more of him sort of buying time in the pocket, buying some time, and it really says, look, you got to get those guys covered before anything else. You got to get guys covered, and then you can take care of the quarterback.
Les, and then Nick Fierro.
Hey, Jim. It looks like rub routes are giving you guys a lot of trouble. Is this a function of guys not having played a lot of man before this year, or how do you see it? What's going on there?
Well, we have been playing a lot more man than we've played pretty much at any point in 5 years that I've been here. And having a guy like Slay leads to a lot of that stuff. And, that's one of the things that teams want to try to do is they want to try to get pick situations and rubs and, little underneath screens and stuff like that and try to work away from him. It's just stuff that you have to deal with. You go and look at any team that played a lot of man in the league. That's what they have to deal with. I think that some of the pick getting guys free stuff, like matching up bunches and things like that, really haven't been as much as some of the stuff that, like we saw in this game. It really wasn't picks as much. It was getting guys underneath and blocking ahead of the ball and catching those. And again, you overplay that, and then you get real vulnerable to the bunch routes that come into it. So it's a balance of both, and it just puts a stronger emphasis on execution.
We got time for two more, so Nick and then Ed.
Yeah, hi, Jim. Just keeping with that theme,
There's a lot of keeping with that themes today.
Yeah, you just, you seem like you're playing more man this year, and I guess that has something to do with having Darius Slay. But is that kind of transition complicated by not having by not having an off season?
That's no excuse. We have plenty of time. We have plenty of time to get ready. It adds different layers of, I won't say complexity, because that's really not a good word, but just different. I don't really know the best way to put it, but different things for us to have to combat, and different things. If you're a zone team, you're not worried at all about picks. You're just leveraging off. If you're man team, picks are a big problem. If you're a zone team, there's different things in there with, trying to conflict zone defenders, giving them high lows, giving them horizontal stretches, giving vertical stretches. It is what it is. What you play on defense, there's, like I said, there's really no defense that stops everything. There's a little bit of give and take when it comes to it. If you want to play tight coverage, if you want to get up in guys' faces and challenge guys a little bit more, which is something that we've done this year, then all of a sudden it comes with some other things that you're going to have to battle.
Go ahead, Ed.
Hey, hi, Jim. Just to get back to that 3rd and 8, with Nate covering Claypool. When you see Claypool kind of motion into the slot there, and you see Nate on him, do you think about calling a timeout in that situation, or is that a process where you have to go to Doug and say, we need a timeout here to get into a different type of defense?
Yeah, timeouts it's always been the head coach's responsibility here. There's been a couple times over the years that we've had 10 guys on the field, and, that's up to Doug. Doug has to weigh that with saving timeouts for we get them stopped, and, we're trying to go down and kick a game-winning field goal. You look at the end of our first half, boy, what a difference one timeout would have made for us, in kicking a field goal at the end of the first half. So, that really never enters our thought process on defense. It's just executing what's called and, trying to balance. And, again, in that situation, we were in zone defense. And in zone defense, there's a lot of times that you can end up with linebackers and safeties on wide receivers. It just depends on who's in your zone. And, that's what happened in that situation.
Thanks, Coach.